Hey gang, Captain Jim here. I'm up doing a little deer hunting this week in South Carolina and taking a little time off from the radio show. But Rodney, Sahr and Captain Mike Mann sat in this week, had an absolutely fantastic show. You guys and gals are going to enjoy this one. A lot of information came out of those two guys, and we hope you guys and gals appreciate it. Take care. Enjoy.
Good morning, East Central Florida. Welcome to another edition of Catch a Memory Outdoors, and I'm filling in for Mr. Jim Ross today. My name is Rodney Sahr, and I've got the one and only Captain Mike Mann.
Good morning, folks.
So we are holding down the fort today. Jim's up there trying to kill himself a bullwinkle. So talked to him last night. He was in the woods, so he is enjoying himself. He is up in, I think,
South Carolina.
South Carolina?
Yeah, South
I was
Carolina.
going to say Virginia, but I was somewhere up. Yeah. Somewhere where it's a little cooler and the deer are a little bit bigger than the dogs. So he's up there hanging out. So we wish him luck, and I imagine we'll get a call from him at some point. But we're holding down the fort, like I said, on this very windy, kind of funky day. But, hey, we're going to enjoy ourselves, talk a little bit of fishing, maybe a little bit of hunting. And I have a special surprise for you, too. I wore something just for you today, Mike.
Oh.
Yep. Let me get my Ohio State shirt on as Mike is wearing his Florida or his Georgia Bulldogs hat. Yep, and I'll just refer to the rankings right now in regards to that. But I wore this just for you today, Mike. So just for you, man.
What are the rankings right now? Since you brought that up,
I'm pretty sure Ohio State stepped into number 2.
I don't think so.
Am I wrong on that?
I don't think so. I think
it might depend on the
I think Oregon's number 1 and
number 1.
UGA's number 2.
Well, I can't say, our only loss was to Oregon. I mean, you guys
Our only loss.
Bama, come on.
Yeah, well, I mean,
how many games have they lost?
Well, you can lose to the refs.
Lose to the refs. Oh man. I was waking up this morning and I've got a men's barbecue that I was telling Paul I'm cooking for, and we're gonna go over to the church and watch college football.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, this is perfect because Mike's in the show with me in the morning. I'm wearing my Ohio State shirt just for him. So, but I love college football. On those days, where it's a little too rough to get offshore or even fish in general, it's good to have some college football on TV.
And it's just. College football is, my wife knows. She's like, okay, what time's your game Saturday? And I'm like, okay, well, 3:30 we're playing Mississippi State. Or I'm like, this is a bye week. She goes, so we can do something fun on Saturdays? I'm like, yes, we can do something with the family. I'm like, you guys could sit around and watch football with me. My son's into soccer. He's like, football's boring. I go, and soccer's not boring? I go, yeah, kick the ball back and forth for 90 minutes and one team scores.
And one of the guys on the other side can actually grab the ball.
Yes.
You can't.
Or, you don't see football a whole lot of fake injuries every 37 seconds.
True. You do see a few. I forget what game I was watching where the guy was standing there. They pointed at him and he fell to the ground. He was like, oh, okay, there's a timeout. It was kind of funny because you're talking about that. The wife and I were in Mexico last weekend, so I did not watch the Ohio State-Penn State game, which was a really good game because I watched some of the highlights. But I was like, I'm going to be good. I'm not going to say, hey, I need to be back in a hotel or whatever so I can watch the game. So we didn't. We were out hanging out. But still good times. But, but how's the fishing been? Because I was talking to a friend of mine, actually Justin Ritchie. I was talking to him the other day, and he fished the lagoon in his kayak last weekend and the weekend before and said there's grass.
There's a lot of grass. There's a lot of floating grass, which it's that time of year where we get that. There's still a ton of grass or reds. I'm seeing lots of
trout.
Yeah, I had a great day on trout last week. I haven't been targeting them as much. I've been throwing because business is a little slow right now with the election and everything.
Yep.
Go Trump. The world is back as it should be. The trout bite was good, but the redfish, I mean, because we've been targeting trout basically for the last 6 years because the redfish have gotten so elusive in there. Mm-hmm. So, I'm having days now where I get 8-10 trout, but I'm getting 12 or 15 redfish.
Wow. Okay.
And that's me fishing, going out, not with clients. With clients, if it depends on their skill level.
Yeah.
And, if they're unskilled, like I had a couple of young kids this past weekend, and I think we ended up with 6 reds throwing chunk bait, just basically throwing up chunk bait, and got 6 really nice reds, I had one 6-year-old on the boat and got a really, his first fish was a 31-inch redfish.
Nice.
So it was awesome. A lot of fun, man.
Gotta love that.
It's the way to get them into it.
Heck yeah. Well, I definitely want to talk a little more about that. My wife still has not caught a redfish. We've gone out, I don't know how many times. Typically, when I'm fishing for snook, we catch a redfish or two, and she has yet to catch one, so I got to get her out. She hasn't actually been trout fishing either, and when I was talking to Justin about it, I was saying, I remember in high school and college coming over and fishing more over in Titusville area, and just going out and catching 50, 60, 80 trout in the day.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't get a lot of keepers, but you caught a bunch of, throwing chug bugs or, any type of soft plastic swim bait. It was fun. Like, you just went out and just blind casting out in the middle of a flat.
It's easy.
Yeah, it was easy.
When I cut my teeth back in 99 when I first started guiding in the lagoon.
Okay.
I switched over because I came from freshwater.
Yep.
I went out there and I could start with clients in the morning, have 2 anglers, put a skitter walk or a Zara spook on.
Yep.
We'd drift across the flat while it's still low light. You drift, say, Tiger Shoals. Might pick up first drift 8, 10, 12, 15 fish.
Yeah.
Reds and trout.
Yep.
Then once the sun got up a little bit, you'd switch over to a jerkbait.
Yeah.
And do the same thing. You just go drift flats. Yep. And, basically the poling was more steering the boat, whichever the wind direction was out of, I'd steer a little bit. Then once the sun got up a little bit more, we'd switch over and sight fish.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was a good day. 100 fish days were not uncommon.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah. It was just, and we were keeping a lot of fish back then. I've kind of worked my way up. Somebody wants something for a meal, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm not fill your cooler up. And we've gotten a couple guys right now that are really pound. And I'm not going to mention any names, but they're, I'm hearing they're keeping 16 black drum, 13 black drum. And I'm like,
black drum too. They're okay.
Well,
They're
you know
great,
what? If you get an 18 to 22 inch black drum, I'd rather eat it than a redfish. Because they're not wormy at that size.
Gotcha.
The meat's the same texture as redfish, same family, but it's a little sweeter because all they eat are shrimp and crabs.
Gotcha.
But there's no reason to keep 16 of them.
No, absolutely not. I don't know. It's a shame because regulations are so jacked up in both directions on different species, and we'll talk about a little bit later in regards to just closures that they're trying to bring on with even bottom fishing. But it's there's a lot going on with regulations, and I feel like there's such a disconnect. This is the biggest issue. There's a disconnect between the people making the regulations and actually what needs to be done. And I'm really, really proud of FWC because I think they're really, really trying to step up and do more. But they do cover, black drum is one that they cover. But
they need to lower them.
I don't know many people that ever keep that many black drum personally.
Yeah, and I've never, because the limits have always been fairly high on it. But that's a lot of. And first of all, to have the space on a flats boat, I don't have enough space to keep
that many fish.
We'll keep 2, 3 of them. I'm like, okay, that's a nice meal. That's a meal for a group of people. You got a few people you left back at the condo. You guys want to have a fish fry, or you want to go to JB's, have them cook them up for you, whatever.
Because your area, you can't keep redfish though. Right?
No, can't keep redfish. And right now, redfish is closed, trout's closed, flounder's closed.
I know that's right.
So essentially, we can keep mangrove snapper or black drum. And the problem is when you get on a school of black drum, say there's 200 black drum in there, well, and you're doing 1-2 charters a day, you're keeping, let's just say 10.
Yeah.
So you're keeping 20 fish per day. Well, in 5 days, what's left of the school?
Exactly.
Yeah. And, right now they're spawning. So with the spawn and you're keeping them, every female you keep, that's, how many less black drums. So the black drum have been one of those things that they've they saved us. Well, they saved us when the redfish disappeared.
I remember that.
15 years ago, me catching a black drum was like twice a year.
Yeah.
Then they did the impoundment work, which released a lot of black drum that were basically trapped up in the impoundments. When they busted out the culverts, suddenly it flushed all these black drum into the lagoon, and the black drum aren't really necessarily into grass. The black drum, like a mud bottom or sand bottom,
they're digging stuff out of it.
They're digging stuff out. So they really flourished in the years where the redfish did not flourish there. Now we're getting both of them back, and 4 redfish per person. So I got 2 guys on there. We can keep 8 of, or black drum. I'm sorry, that's 8 black drum. That's still a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
that's still a lot. Yep.
And I'm coming from when I started doing this. It was a badge of honor to come up, throw a big heavy fish bag up there late. 12, 15
I got my
fish.
limit,
Yeah,
it was
and we got to get some of these guides, some of these younger ones that come up that are like, there's plenty of fish out there. There's not.
And people need to realize there might be plenty out there, but if you continue to do it, there will not be. And you got to think, that's the hardest thing. As a young person in general in life, it's hard to think, about future stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, how many of the saying, I wish I could go back and talk to my younger self again. Heck yeah, man.
Well,
I'd smack me, but
Well, because I hear these guys, I talk to guys and I'm like, how was your day? Man, it was awesome. We whaled on. We caught 12 fish.
Yeah.
See, to me, I'm like, well, I mean, that's an okay day.
Yeah.
But I came up where we were catching 80 fish and 100 fish.
Yep.
And so they don't know how good it can be because they weren't alive 20 years ago, or they weren't fishing, 20 years ago. So,
I remember those days. I had a 16 and a half foot Wellcraft center console with a 90 Johnson on it. And I remember I would fish that whole area from the power plant all the way up to basically Holliver.
Yeah.
And God, we would just catch trout after trout, and then you get your mixed redfish mixed in, and get a tarpon occasionally, or you usually lose the tarpon. But I mean, there were fish everywhere, everywhere. It was crazy. And it's just so much life, and now it's like I'm really glad to hear it, and I think that area is still really struggling, from my understanding. But
it's coming back. I've got hope.
Yeah,
and I'm enjoying fishing now. There's a few years where I'm like, just not having fun because it wasn't what I fell in love with. It was early July, and basically from about the second week of May, if we were fishing a lagoon, we were throwing chunk bait.
Yeah,
or pigfish.
I remember. Yep.
And I'm fine doing that. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing to do is be on the polling platform. I like clients on the front of my boat casting.
Yep.
I like to cover water. I don't like sitting there anchored down. I mean, that's just not what I fell in love with.
I got you.
And so I've got hope now.
Very good. So, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and run to a break because we got a caller in, so we'll jump on the phones when we get back. So we'll be right back with another edition of Catch Memory Outdoors.
Boaters Exchange is your one-stop boating center with locations in Rockledge and New Smyrna Beach. We're family-owned, offering new and used boat sales, consignment boats, 5-star Yamaha and Mercury service, marine electronics, accessory installs, boat detailing, repowers, and more. Stop by and check out our awesome selection of fishing boats, bay boats, deck boats, pontoons, and runabouts. We've selected the best brands, including Everglades, Cobia, Pathfinder, Hughes Maverick, Yamaha Jets, Abbott Aluminums, and Bennington Pontoons. Already have a boat? Stop by Boaters Exchange and check out our ship store, or drop off for your annual service by one of our certified techs. Boaters Exchange is locally owned with a passion for our Indian River Lagoon. Find us on social media, our website, or call or text us at 321-638-0090. We love to see you both.
Assassin, the most trusted name in bass fishing lures, is now the top soft plastic lure brand for saltwater. Sea trout, tarpon, redfish, and snook hammer the Saltwater Assassin 4-inch sea shad. With its amazing swimming action, this lure sets the bar for swim bait designs. Other companies continue to try, but none have been able to replicate the action of this incredible minnow-style lure. But Assassin has other proven designs. I like the native shiner-colored 5-inch Shad Assassin. That's my go-to lure when I'm targeting big gator trout. Redfish love the Drunk Monkey or the Mudbug-colored 4-inch Assassin Shrimp Cocktail. And you can rig these on a weedless worm hook or the amazing Assassin Springlock Jig Head. Now, these are just a few of my favorite Assassin lures. Check out what top professional anglers have known for years. Assassin lures simply catch more fish, and you can get them at your local tackle store or go to bassassassin.com and get some of these fantastic lures for yourself today. Starbright Premium Marine Polish helps keep your boat looking great. This easy-to-apply premium polish uses polymers instead of wax, so it lasts up to 3 times longer than traditional boat wax. The polymers in Starbright Premium Marine Polish are also easier to apply, block UV rays better, and help keep fish blood, slime, and poop and other stuff from sticking to your gel coat. Starbright Premium Marine Polish isn't a wax, it's a sealer. It's safe for all fiberglass, paints, and polished metals. You won't believe how awesome Starbright Premium Marine Polish will make your car or truck look too. Wax is for surfboards, not boats. Protect your boat.
This is Captain Mike Mann. We are hanging out, holding down the fort today. And I got a quick little thing. If you are interested in getting, making your boat more comfortable, getting out of the water, not getting sore, definitely check out Lamb Deck over in Titusville. They will hook up your boat like they did Jim's, and you will absolutely love it. I know I've been a fan of that EVA foam on any boat. Helm pads, all that fun stuff. Man, it definitely makes a difference at the end of the day. So make sure you check out Lamb Deck. You can give them a call at 321-505-4888. So that's Lamb Deck if you want to customize your boat. They can do all the different little graphics and stuff in it too. Jim's is pretty awesome. Yeah, and we've got Jeff Kamek on the phone, Captain Jeff, and I heard you are checking out the ducks right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're out here on the St. John's, and there's places that haven't had water.
I was about to say that water's high.
It is high. It's averaging. We're stopping looking at some of our old holes. It's averaging between 3 and 4 foot deep.
Wow. Yeah, I'm about, as the crow flies, I live about a mile from Lake Jessup. And
okay.
I haven't even been on the river yet because I was waiting for it to hopefully go down a little bit before going out to look for some specks and stuff. But every time I drive over, that water is as high as it was 2 years ago after the one hurricane. I mean, it's way up. So.
Well, you know, it was sad this week is all the duck hunters were hoping we get some of that rain from Raphael, just as a little insurance policy. But the water should stay like this until the first of the year.
Yep.
It'll be a nice first half before we head out on the salt to shoot divers.
I gotcha. Now, is the season open or is it getting ready to open?
Next week, is it just Saturday? Saturday is the state-sponsored youth hunt, so we'll be down at Goodwin with the kids.
Awesome.
And then the following Saturday is the opener.
Very cool.
So, if guys would spread out instead of hunting on top of each other, there's so many places to hunt here. If they just spread out, they'll get a good shoot.
And from my understanding, that makes the hunting even better because it keeps the ducks off of the water. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
You get 200-300 yards apart. Make sure you let them know, let the birds work. You'll have a good hunt. But if you start piling on top of each other, all you're going to do is push the birds out.
I gotcha. Now, are you seeing them?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, saw some teal, saw some tree ducks, saw some mottleds, and we still got about an hour and a half to go to see the rest of our spots out here.
I might have to get my duck gun out and try to go this year. I haven't. Man, it's been a really, really long time. So.
There's always a spot on the boat for you, Rodney.
I appreciate that.
Matter of fact, I haven't talked to Jim since Wednesday. Where's he at today?
He is in South Carolina looking for one of them big racked deer that are bigger than the
that's right.
dogs that we have here. So.
Yeah, because I know Blair's up there fishing the Redbone tournament somewhere up there in the Carolinas.
Yeah, I talked to him last night. He said he saw a couple, but he let one go that he said he could have. I think the guy who owns the property has been spying that one, so he left it and saw one other one. But so I think it's just good for him to get out and just relax a little bit. So
hopefully he gets
she got
cooler weather.
The booth with you today.
I've got Mike Mann with me.
Morning, Jeff.
Yep.
Hey, Michael, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, my friend. Doing well.
You going to get out here and hunt with us a day or two this year?
You know what? Yeah, if there's a seat there, I'll go. It's been a long time for me, too. This time of year, usually I'm in the woods when I get free time up in Georgia trying to hunt some deer. But I love to eat duck.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do, guys, is I'll send you the info for the permits. There's one last round coming up starting next Friday for 10 days. That'll give out the rest of the permits in Broadmoor and Goodwin and stuff like that. You know, try to up our odds a little bit.
There you go.
Perfect.
So I'll look into that. So I've been putting in for all these snapper permits lately. I feel like I'm on FWC's website every other day.
Yeah, I need to put in for some of those.
So,
I got a buddy of mine that I used to work with ended up with one of those. I think it expired already now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I have a friend of mine that got the one permit that it's very limited how many they give out, and it's one of the main ones, and he can go 4 times and keep 36 snapper a trip.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's
Crazy,
only
yeah.
like 2 or 3 of them given out,
Yeah.
like for commercial, and
Yeah.
same for. I know one of the charter boys got one, and they sold those charters like in minutes.
Yeah.
So-
That's
God.
I have not applied for them. I've just been there's been no offshore fishing for 2 months almost.
Yep.
We've had
I'll
2
text
days.
both of you this week with the info on what to put in for.
Perfect.
Sounds great, Jeff. Thank you.
So
Hey, and before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you to everybody that voted yes on Amendment 2. It passed with
big
flying
time.
colors.
Yep.
You know, like I said last night, while we were standing shoulder to shoulder with them on the state park issue, you know, they were planning behind the scenes, and boy, did it work. I had guys questioning that I would have thought that it was, you know, a no-brainer, but they put enough doubt in a lot of people's minds that it went from like the net ban was that we weren't even concerned that it was going to pass to, man, is this Amendment 2 going to pass? And it did. So
yeah. I got a couple texts on Election Day asking, "Hey, what is this?" And I'm like, "Hold on."
Let me tell you what it is.
Yep.
You know, I sat down with my family, my wife, because my son's 22 now, so he votes, and we sat down and with a ballot, and I said, and we had a discussion as to why we were for this or why we were against that through all the the referendums, and and it's nice because it gets your children involved in it and helps them understand. Look, you have to pay attention to. When it's election, it's not just showing up and voting for president. It's voting for different referendums, and and there were some big ones on there.
Yeah, there were a lot.
Yeah, there were a couple of big ones.
you know what, FWC, and they couldn't get real involved in it, obviously, but that language was copied from several other states, and it had already been taken to court in those states, and they've won every time. So that's why the wording was like it was, because it's already standed the test of time in the court system.
Gotcha.
Great.
Well,
And thank you everybody that voted yes
for
on
sure.
it.
And I'll tell you what, and just with the election too, I don't know if people realize, the new chief of staff was big in Florida. She worked under DeSantis too, so I'm stoked for a lot of stuff for our state too in regards to all of it, outdoors, everything. I think it's gonna be good.
With elections and stuff, I get clients on the boat and they're like, well, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
And I felt like, over the 26 years in January that I've been guiding, I feel like they've been slowly trying to squeeze us out of making a living. I don't think they like self-employed people. The federal government didn't like self-employed people for a while, but I also felt like they were squeezing us, trying to get us out of providing meat and fish and, hunting in general, just sportsmen out of that lifestyle. And,
for sure.
There's nothing better than something you've harvested, whether it's fish, ducks, deer, hogs.
Yep.
I mean, it's organic.
Yeah, that's right. There's no expiration date.
Yeah, there's no, it's all organic. You're spending all this money on maybe organic stuff that maybe, free range, when you can just go out and hunt it.
What the bunny huggers won't tell you is if it wasn't for sportsmen, we wouldn't have the duck and the deer and the turkey. And
that's true. 100%.
Because, I add up my stuff at the end of the season for the tax man. It's like, there's just outdoorsmen fund the outdoors, where the bunny huggers, they just make a lot of noise.
Yeah, well, and outdoorsmen, we are more environmentally conscious than all these tree huggers because they're hugging a tree in a park. I'm putting a tree stand in a tree in 200 acres, and I'm watching what's going on. I'm spending time on the boat. I'm watching what's going on. And long before the redfish were shut down in my area, I'd shut them down on my boat. I quit keeping them 2 or 3 years before they actually closed it. And that was me making a conscious decision as a guide and an advocate for the outdoors that, look, there was a problem happening there. Mm-hmm. They needed to be...
Well, I've always been a catch and release guide for the most part. I very rarely kept fish, and, my clients didn't, once you explained to them what was going on, it's like, and if they did want to catch a bunch of fish, I'd just send them to Mike's man. And
I've 20 years ago I kept everything that we caught because that was just what all us got. That's what we did. Well, then over the years, I've trained my clients, and I've trained, I've taught them, say, look, if you want something to have for a meal, that's fine. We'll keep a couple fish, for a meal. You don't need 30 meals worth of fish.
The only ones that I really stock up on when I start getting on them are crappie. I won't lie. I'll stock up. I will fill the live well with a bunch of crappie, but I don't think there's any shortage whatsoever of any of that. I think we're all in pretty good shape with them.
During duck season, that's the only time I do a blasting cast anymore.
Yeah.
With the client.
Yep. So,
well, guys, we're going to get on it. You guys have a great rest of the show, and I'll talk to you later in the week.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Be safe.
Care, man.
All right, guys and girls, we're going to go ahead and take our next break. So we will be right back with the third segment with Captain Mike Mann and myself, Rodney Sahr. Catch Memory Outdoors. Hey, if you live in Florida, you've got bugs, ants, roaches, spiders, you name it. These pests in your home, garage, or work shed, Sun State Pest Management knows how to control these pests and can help you in your pest control needs. The qualified professionals analyze your pest problems and treat it with just the right amount and proper types of products to safely rid your home or yard of unwanted pests. This eliminates the need for strong, dangerous pest control products in your home, garage, or shed, products that your children or pets might mistakenly get into. Keep your home safe and pest-free. Call the team at Sun State Pest Management at 1-800-781-7378. That's 1-800-781-7378 to start enjoying a pest-free home in your yard right now. I need to talk to Jim about making stuff in bigger fonts. I pulled that out last night. I should be putting my glasses on so I can read a little bit better. But yeah, I got the fancy ones.
Oh, the clicks! I like the clicks.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I came home with those, and my wife looked at me and just shook her head.
Yeah,
like, yeah, you just turned 42, so I don't want to hear it. So
wait till you get in the 50s.
Oh yeah, I jump started a little bit with all my health stuff.
Yeah,
so I'm a little bit ahead of my age, to be honest with you. But hey, I'm doing good. I won't complain. So just gotta mine's not like this to read better. I can read better like this, but far away, man. That's why we were talking about duck hunting. Like, I don't think I could see them. I don't know. I'm like, what? I just unload the whole chamber.
See, I can see far off.
Yeah,
now I'm noticing that's getting a little diminished. I mean, I'll be 56 in June, so I know I look young and beautiful for my age, but I'll be 56 in June, so I've noticed that my far off is getting a little bit. In the nighttime driving, there's a lot of, which I prefer driving at night.
Yeah.
So it's killing me, but I'm starting to, the lights are starting to get the stars around them. But
well, I just talked to Sean Kelly the other day, who's at Bahio.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let me know if you need anything. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to suck it up and get another pair of prescription sunglasses because it's definitely, I'm like, I'll make another eye appointment, go get that, and then call him up and get another pair because it's like, yeah, definitely. Got to get it in time for, if hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a cobia season. That's not 3 days long.
We were talking about the snapper, and I just haven't applied because I don't think I've been out the inlet. I went out one day last week, maybe, just outside the inlet. I didn't go, and I probably could have run offshore. It was it was enough distance. The swell was spread out
and
enough.
This is your bay boat.
Yeah, this is in the bay boat. Yeah, well, is it a bay boat? I don't know what I would call it because
what do you have now?
It's a 23 Panga.
Okay.
I got a Panga Marine 23 foot.
Yeah, it's probably not super shallow. I mean,
it drafts in 10 inches.
Does it? Okay.
Drafts in 10 inches, but I've had it 20 miles offshore too.
You can get out. Yeah, you can take a pretty heavy sea in that.
Yeah, but it's with it. If it's too close in, it'll handle it, but it beats you up because the bow wants to really pop up on it. But it's killing me because this is like some of my favorite bottom fishing time now.
Yeah,
I love bottom fish, but we haven't had the cold weather. I was on the water yesterday, 80 degrees. Watching tarpon.
When we get to it later,
a week and a half.
Let's see. The water temperature on the 20-mile buoy is 78. The 4-mile buoy at Canaro is also 78, basically. So yeah, it hasn't cooled down. So, but hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Wednesday is supposed to cool down.
This Wednesday or Wednesday a week from Wednesday. Because I saw. Ooh, I didn't see that. They must have changed things.
No,
up.
I saw that for next weekend. I didn't pay attention. I was just looking because I looked at next Saturday was like a high of 76 or something and a low of 58 and sunny. I'm like, that's gonna be a pretty day.
See, I got right here this Wednesday, low of 69, high of 80. Thursday, 65, 63. 62 starting Thursday next week as lows and highs in the low 60s. So,
well, hey, I'll even take that. That'll help.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, that's, it was nice still seeing tarpon around yesterday, but ready for the cooler weather to move in. And
well, we started. The ribbon fish had moved in, so I've been ribbon fishing a little bit. But I've heard the mullet have pretty much disappeared now for the most part.
Not in the lagoon.
Not in the lagoon.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, the inlets basically. I heard they've kind of stopped running. So.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell because it's been so rough.
Yeah.
Where I've been catching bait up north, around North Causeway, I didn't find hardly any. But as I was running south to another tarpon spot, I came across an area where there were just, big schools pushing on top. It was nice because it was slick yesterday, first slick day we've had, since last week.
Yeah.
So you could see them up on top getting pushed, and it was, it was pretty nice. But as they thin out, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I know. I was thinking about the only thing for me that it stinks is trying to get bait.
Yeah,
it is when it's difficult is to fish with.
Yeah,
but I find snook fishing in the port and even down in Sebastian, like I think it's better.
Yeah,
because I feel like you're just competing too much.
The port snook fishery has
been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of guys posting some real, and Ponce Inlet, the snook fishing's been. I mean,
we haven't had a hard cold, so it would be good for a while.
I mean, I don't ever remember until recently guys catching 40-inch snook.
Yeah.
Overslot snook in Ponce Inlet, and over the last probably 5 years, the numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And
I have not caught an overslot snook this year so far, but I've not fished the real big baits either.
Yeah.
I've caught, I think the one night, between the wife and I, we had like 12, but they were all under.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and we were doing other stuff and kind of got sidetracked and started doing that. Yeah. So it was like, and just pitching up finger mullet up along the rocks and waiting to hear them. You'd hear them before
that pop.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, there he is.
See, I I was on anchor last week. I was on the power pole on a flat, waiting for the sun to get up. I was throwing a topwater, and ended up with a redfish, a trout, and a snook, all over 20 inches.
Really?
And didn't even lift up my power pole. Basically,
awesome.
2 of them came off the same little point.
Wow.
I had a 22-inch trout and about a 24-inch snook come off the same point.
That's cool. On topwater, too.
Oh, yeah, on topwater. And it took me like 6 casts to get each of them hooked. I'd get a blow up, and they'd miss it, throw up there, and I'd keep changing the way I was presenting it. And finally...
What topwater bait?
A bite-a-bait.
Bite-a-bait.
it's a company that's almost out of that. I'm actually going to call the guy.
See if you can get some more.
Well, no, see if I can maybe buy the company.
Oh, okay.
It's the best top water, bar none.
Hopper.
It's a walk the dog. It's got two different size rattles in it.
Ah, okay.
So it's got a big ball and a couple little small balls. So it gives you dual sound, and the tail sits a little bit lower in the water, and it's got high quality hooks. And one of my clients bought him out once he found out he was closing down. So I've got his number. I'm going to give him a call this week and see about, what I can do, or
the molds and whatnot.
Yeah, get the molds or find out who is manufacturer it. I'm sure they're being manufactured somewhere and then painted here or whatever.
Probably.
And I'd like to find out on that. And, even if it's not a huge money making, which
something to do.
And it's, it stinks when you find something, as long as we've been fishing and you're like, oh my God, this is the greatest bait ever. This thing worked.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're like, where did they go?
Well, I'll tell you what, and I have nothing to do with these guys, but are you familiar with aquatic nutrition?
Yes.
So they started making a plastic.
Really?
Scented plastic. And I had some, the guy gave me a bunch. And when we were at a show, and I had the bag, and the bag disappeared. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a buddy of mine when I was down in Everglades Bait and Tackle, and he was like, this stuff is like legit. Like, works really good.
Yeah.
So I need to get some more of it, but they make all kinds of, and he was telling me, because he's a rep for a bigger company, so he doesn't have anything to do with it either. He can get any of them. And he said he likes it better than gulp or fish
really?
or anything. Yeah, he said it works.
See,
better.
and that's, you get something like that unless somebody comes in and has a big push, or, you get the word out. Because, let's face it, Z-Man 15 years ago was a small cut. Actually, Z-Man was originally produced by Z-Man and marketed by Strike King.
Yep.
And they didn't like the way Strike King was marketing it for them. So once they got the contract was up, they took it back over. And you look at how big that company is now, and it's a phenomenal.
And they've got their lure designer, I think, came from 13.
Really?
Believe. I could be wrong about that, but I listened to him talk to one time, and the guy is super smart. Like, it's like that's cool. I wish I was that knowledgeable.
It is. I've done a few. Photo shoots with them and commercial and stuff with them, and it is bar none my favorite soft plastic.
Yeah.
I know Jim's Bass Assassin dude, and I love Bass Assassin. That's what I grew up, man. I'm from the South. I grew up on Bass Assassins, and
I was a Zoom guy.
Yeah. Oh my God. The Zoom
Super
salt.
Flukes. And
yes.
Trick worms. All that. Yeah.
And it's all about what you like and what you prefer and how you work it.
Yep.
My thing with the Z-Man is I have a lot less waste.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Now I will say that their elastine, that patent is up. So there's a lot of other brands that are going to be coming with that elastine. A lot. So you'll see that coming out.
Yeah.
But it's look. I remember it kind of depended on what style plastic. But I used to fish a Producto lure, a Producto worm quite a bit. I fished the Super Fluke, and I actually use a lot of bitters plastics now when I'm freshwater fishing. They make a lot. They make a million different colors. Holy cow! But all the different plastics. it really comes down. Each of them work a little bit different, depending on the density of the plastic and scent and stuff like that. But it's just what you're comfortable with, and when you get comfortable with something. I remember when I used to fish over in the flats when I was younger. I threw a Storm Chug Bug, and I used the Assassin paddle tails, and I used I used to use the Strike King jig head, which is very similar to the VMC boxer head. But that's usually were the main things, and I used to throw electric chicken more than anything. So it's it's just kind of what you grow up doing and stuff.
Getting a color and getting preference, and I've tried all the different colors,
sure,
and now I've honed it down to I keep about 5 different colors on the boat, and it's a spectrum from light to dark.
Yep.
And that seems to work. And I know if I go to certain areas, okay, this works better, so I'll take that. If I'm in Scottsmore, I want this color. If I'm in the lagoon. Water clarity makes a huge difference in it. And, bass fishing, you would almost want to match the watercolor.
Which is crazy.
You wouldn't think you would, but you would almost want to match the watercolor. And then growing up, it was my grandfather was. You can use any color you want as long as it's black. I mean that was black.
Yep.
And black seems to be one of those colors. Whether you're tarpon fishing, you always get bites on black.
Yeah.
Yep. You almost always get bites on black.
Yep.
But like say topwater plugs. One of the colors I don't have a whole lot of confidence in is the red and black, or the red and white.
Yeah, but that used to be the old school color.
That was old school color, and I've caught fish on it. I was throwing one the other day, and I caught some fish on it. Switched over to a more like a mullet pattern, and I caught more fish.
Nah, it's always been a chrome.
Yeah,
chrome blue,
I love chrome. I love bone.
Yep.
And so
I throw a lot of white.
Yeah,
especially in the river, throw a lot of white schooling fish.
Yeah, but you get confidence, and with specific soft plastics. If you're like me, you get out there and you try different ways of working it.
Yep.
You find a way that works. And it's like, okay, well, this is how you want to work this bait. For me, like with the Z-Man, especially, say, the diesel minnow, I'm trying to teach my guys, I'm like, listen, the slower you reel it, you want to reel it at a pace where it's not picking up grass, fast enough that it's not picking up grass, but slow enough that it's just above the grass.
Yep.
And, just that thump, thump, thump of the tail. And once I can get them trained on that, they start getting bites, you know.
Slower gear ratios.
Yeah, and and also letting them do that till and teaching them to fish it like a spoon. Spoons, you don't set the hook necessarily.
Come tight.
You come tight and you pull up with the rod bend from the fish grabbing it. Because traditionally, predator fish will approach a bait from behind. They'll either approach it from behind or from the side, but typically they're going to come up behind it. They're going to grab it, and they're going to make a turn either right or left.
They're going to be pulling on it.
Yeah.
They're going to be pulling enough drag to set the hook.
Yep.
Well, hey, let's talk about rod actions and powers fishing that stuff when we get back. So we're going to be right back. Captain Mike Mann and myself, Rodney Sahr, are going to be right back with more Catch Memory Outdoors. We're here every Saturday. You can check us out from 7 to 9 a.m., giving you all your latest fishing and hunting news in the area. So want to appreciate you guys listening and give you a couple call outs. Jim's listening from the blind. Butch McCoy, how's it going, Butch? He's looking at the ocean from his house. John Durkee, how's it going? Kyle Weaver, hopefully you're doing well, man. It's been a while, but a bunch of people listening online. Wow, Durwood, what's up, Durwood? We got Bo Bergerson, Carrie, I apologize, Eldy, I believe, Eld, Chris Kaminsky, Jonathan Rabby, Gregory Land, Jeff's on here, Mike Kipp, Orson Tarver. What's up, Orson? How are you, man? Brian Howe. Man, lots. Jeff Brown. How's it going, Jeff? Long time no talk, brother. Bunch of people. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, checking out the show. Like I said, every Saturday you can find us here for your listening pleasure. And Mike, man, I mean, look, he's beautiful. You guys can watch him on Facebook, so you should be on our Facebook page. So
I think I finally got it shared on my Facebook page.
Got it shared.
I don't know. I can post photos and tag things.
So
wish people happy birthday.
I know. That's about it.
Yeah.
This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers, and if you haven't checked out, if you're in the market for a cooler, you're not quite wanting to spend the big money they have in the new. See, it's like Vanna White. We've got them right here. They've got the new 65 ultralight coolers, and I have one personally, and I use it. I use it all the time. It's my truck cooler / I use it for ribbon fish, all that stuff, because it's lighter. It's easier to get on and off the boat and whatnot, and it still keeps ice for a really long time. I really like that one. They've got the colors on them are pretty unique too, like two-tone type colors on them. So
yeah, I have not gotten one yet. That's one of the things I need to get, and it's I'd like one for my truck.
Yeah, that's
Engel and my cup. Look at my cup; it's beat up. I got to order a new cup from them,
but I've been using their stuff for a long time, and they make great products. One of the best coolers I've ever owned by far. So check out the new ultralight cooler. You can check them out on engel.com. They've got all kinds of product, and I know some of the local dealers have them as well. So make sure you check them boys out. Paul Cablin, Mike Dixon, all those guys are great people too. So All right, so we were talking a little bit about fishing the soft plastics and stuff, and so obviously I'm selling rods and reels and whatnot and all that fun stuff. So talking about action of a rod, because a lot of people don't understand. Most fishermen don't quite understand
Actions of
rods and
Yeah.
speeds.
Yeah.
Probably your most common on an inshore rod is going to be a medium, maybe medium heavy,
Yeah.
7 foot. That seems to be, but then you get into speeds.
Yeah. They have
what's
no idea
slow,
what fast
means. And there's some really cool. You can kind of look it up if you want to see like the rod bending action. But I know for me, because with the introduction of circle hooks many years ago and stuff, it kind of changes a little bit on the type of rod you want to use. And whatnot.
Yeah.
And I've been fishing a new series from Daiwa that I've really liked, called the Proteus Inshore. They're not really a light inshore; they're more of a heavier inshore.
Yeah.
A lot of conventional or trigger, I should say, and then they have some different spinning rods too. And I love this 7.5 foot rod I've been using from them, and I actually just picked up I had a medium heavy, and I just picked up a medium light because it's a slower.
Yeah.
Mainly for live bait and stuff.
Yeah.
And when we're talking to what action, when you're fishing a paddle tail and you're talking about not setting the hook, what speed do you prefer on a rod?
I do a medium fast.
Medium fast. So that means the bend is not, it's not as,
It's not.
it doesn't bend as hard.
It doesn't bend as hard in the tip, but it's got enough flexibility so that when you do get that bite, and you've got so much more sensitivity in the
100%. Faster rods have a lot more sensitivity. And listeners, I can't really try to paint the picture for you. A slow rod means it's going to be more of a noodle style rod.
Yeah.
So it's much more bendy.
Yep.
And then your fast rod is going to be a little bit of a stiffer action rod, if that makes sense.
And so where it's medium or heavy, that comes from the backbone.
Yep.
That's the low. That's from
strength,
your
basically.
handle to about the last 2 foot of the rod tip.
Yep.
Your speed is the last 2 foot of the rod. So medium heavy, a medium speed heavy action rod is going to give a little bit more flex, which I like for tarpon fish. Or I like heavy action medium tip for tarpon fishing because it gives you that a little bit more noodle activity when they jump. You don't have it keeps the fish on longer.
Yep.
Bottom fishing, I want heavy, super fast.
See, I prefer a little bit of action on, and one that's not even really described in these actions is a parabolic bend rod.
Yeah.
Which has really gotten popular with stuff. I actually fish a few of them, even for king fishing, of a more parabolic bend, and I find that power in the rod, I can get a fish to the boat faster, a lot faster. But it depends. It's not for everything, obviously. If I'm fishing a lure, I'm not fishing a parabolic bend rod, and then, it's even different when you get into the jigging stuff and whatnot, because that's a completely different action that you'd use for other lures. So it's completely different. So
and that's it. Figuring out, because we were talking about lengths of rod. Lengths of rod make a huge difference too. I throw a lot of artificial. I don't like the 7.6 rods. I like a 7 foot to 7.3 foot rod because I'm on the casting platform. I'm in shallow water. The shorter moot because I come from the bass fishing side where we were using 6 foot rods.
Oh yeah.
And you're up working a dock. A 6 foot rod's a lot easier.
Control of it.
Well, and it's you got more control, and it's a lot easier to pitch it up under a dock. Now guys have gone to the longer rods, but on the bass boat, on my bass boat, I had 7 foot 10 rods to 6 foot rods. Because it depended on what I was throwing. I like if I'm throwing rubber worms, I like the longer rod. Same thing in the lagoon. If I'm throwing live bait, I like the 7.6 to 7.10 rods because you can cast the bait much easier. You get, and especially with that, I'll drop down to a little bit easier rod tip, say instead of fast, a little bit, say medium.
Yep.
And it gives you a little more whip. You can throw it out there without slinging the bait off. With a 7 to a 7.3, I'm standing on my front casting platform. I can make a little bit less movement for that fish that's up close.
Gotcha.
Because, how many times have guys are sight fishing, you go to make a cast and you just move the rod and the fish
took off.
Yeah. So
I really like what you're saying too about, fishing the live baits with that action rod, because a lot of people probably don't think about that when you have a fast action rod and you're fishing a lighter bait with just a circle hook, no weight or anything like that. Yeah, instead of casting, it's more of a slower movement and a swing almost. But yeah, with a fast action rod, yeah. How many times? Man, just threw the bait off.
Yeah,
like crap.
And I still have the bass fishing style cast, which throws a lot of guys off. A lot of guys who've done nothing but saltwater flats fishing. Yep. I do the whole. I do the circle. I don't even know what it's called, but it's basically my rod tip just does a real fast revolution and it slings the bait
do you
out.
Fish bait casters?
Oh yeah.
Oh, do you?
I don't right anymore. I mean, I've got them. But that's what I was fishing on the bass stores, bait casters.
Yeah.
Basically, the only time I used spinning was if I was drop shotting or, using very small.
And I'm not trying to plug it, but I will a little bit. Daiwa's, we just started shipping the new Coastal bait casters with the new SV technology. You don't even have to touch the spool.
See, that's beautiful.
Once you figure it in and adjust it, I mean, it's those new, they're sweet. Yeah, they're. In fact, actually, I got to get Troy Perez one because his girlfriend's points fishing and needs a bait caster to get additional points. It's like, this is the one. This is the one you want.
This is the one you want.
Yeah. So but it's interesting when you kind of go through all this different stuff and the way technology has grown. And I'm not even talking reels, just on rods. With guides and whatnot. But I'm like you when it comes to when I pick up a bait caster, I'm that swinging action.
Yeah.
Almost, it's just because did it for so long. It's it's hard to break that. But
and I still do it with a spinning rod now too.
Do you? See, I don't. Well, I mean, it depends what I'm fishing. I'm definitely live bait when I'm swinging it, whatnot. Not that load. I'm not really loading up the rod necessarily, but it depends where and what I'm doing too. But
well, and casting that way on a boat or in a small area. You can cast much more accurately, much further once you get it dialed in. I mean, I guess it's like a pendulum cast is probably the best way to describe it. Once you get it dialed in, you can release that bait at any height above the water you want it to be. So if you want to do a long cast, you release it where it's more of an arch. If you're skipping it up under docks or up under, then you can release it much lower, but it still has the same speed.
Well, it's funny, Ty. So my boat, bay boat with a T-top, if I have three of us fishing and we're up next to the jetty,
somebody's going to break the rod.
Usually I'm in the middle because I'll let somebody take the back and someone take the front. So I do a lot of like pitching basically. I have to get them. I can do it far enough typically and I don't have to get too close. If I had somebody else doing it, we'd have to get too close.
Yeah.
But it's holding that bait and basically just flipping it over. So, well, I'll tell you what, we're up against our next break. This show is going by quick, man. So we're going up to our hard break. So we are going to be back pretty quickly here with the next half of Catch Memory Outdoors. Captain Mike, Mann, Rodney, Sahr, we're here today. So give us a shout. We'd love to hear what you got going on. So we'll be right back with more Catch Memory Outdoors. All right, guys and girls, welcome back to the second half of Catch Memory Outdoors. We appreciate you guys all listening. And listen, if you missed the first half, you can definitely download the podcast. You can listen in. You won't be able to see Mike's beautiful face, but you can at least listen to his beautiful voice. So make sure you download that. Check us out. There's you can check out any of the shows if you've missed one in the past. Check it out. You can download one of those and take a listen. So we appreciate you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to make this happen because our sponsors, that's what they're about. So we really appreciate that. And I was actually, Mike and I were going through, since Jim's not here, and looking at the bucket of Starbright product right here. So I was pulling out a few of my favorites, and he saw me pull out the hull cleaner. He's like, "Oh, that's a big bottle of hull cleaner." I was like, "Yep." So the deck cleaner is what I actually use a lot of.
Yeah.
So I use that quite a bit too. These guys are awesome guys. They've been just sponsors for a long time. They do a ton of stuff in the community. So we really appreciate Starbright and all they do. So
I love the product.
I know. Yeah. It makes a difference. Huge difference.
My neighbor next door's got one of those white PVC fences that borders my house. I've got a different fence. Well, sprinklers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got just this horrible rust stain. And I'll show you the picture. My wife, you look out our bedroom and you're staring at this white fence. It's now got this dookie brown rust stain. So she's like, "Can you clean that?" So I went and took my Starbright hull cleaner,
Yep.
and I just wrote, "I heart you," and walked away. You can see I sprayed it, never rinsed it, and so a couple more sprays. If I just sprayed it a little bit, which I've got to do today, because she kind of laughed. She goes, "Now can you clean the whole thing now?"
You wrote a love letter in the Dookie Brown.
The Dookie Brown, hey, it's the little things.
It's the little things, right?
But
I love it.
But I use it the hull or the deck cleaner, the spray.
Yep.
Quick detail.
Mm-hmm.
I use it on my Harley.
I use the quick it works really good on the aluminum and stuff.
Yeah.
On the T-top.
The bright work and
it works really good on that.
Oh,
I cleaned it up. I'm looking at it. I was like, man, it looks really good. And I've got towing my boat back and forth from Orlando. I've got my electronics box. It gets covered in bugs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to clean because you got to get up behind part of the T-top to kind of get to it. So every time I clean the boat, I keep that and I hit that area specifically because then it's typically I can just rinse the bugs right off of it. It's not too hard. But yeah.
I trailered I think it was my Jones Brothers I used to have.
Mm-hmm.
Without the cover on, I trailered it over from New Smyrna to, where did we go? Little Gasparilla, where we were staying. We had a house rent. And I went down. Oh, yeah. And I went down. Rather than do I-4, I said, you know what? I'm going to go down and take 70 across. Oh, my God. And I didn't have any with me. So I'm like trying to scrub it off. And I finally ended up getting some of the cleaner and just hosed them off.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It is such a great company, and Starbright does so much.
They do. Yep.
And
a lot of our friends are actually working with them too. Alex Kritschke, a bunch of those guys, are all working with them, so we appreciate that.
I see you push the deck cleaner over towards me.
Oh.
I want the hull cleaner over here on my side.
We'll have to tell Jim. I don't know. I think Paul, our producer, took that bucket home with him.
Yeah. It's a great company.
It is a good company. They make some really good stuff. So, and hey, this is the time of year, when it's blowing, that's time to get out all the stuff and start detailing the boat up. I'm due for an inside of the boat wax. Outside's still in good shape, but I hate doing the inside. That's the worst.
I hate doing it.
Now, I will say, man, I bought all of the battery buffers and polishers from Ryobi.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot.
Sure. So, yeah, it makes a huge difference.
One thing I wish they made, which would be awesome, I wish they made, and it wouldn't last but like 2 minutes, I wish they made for a buffer one of these things. Because these magic sponges, or magic erasers, but theirs is the magic sponge, and these do hold up better than the magic eraser.
Oh, yeah.
These will take off any scuff you have in your boat. It will take it off. But your hand might be cramping.
Yeah.
On those really tough ones.
If you... I don't know. I'm going to work on that. I'll figure out a way for you to do it. I'll figure it out. If Starbright doesn't listen to us and hear it, but, it's...
Will not last long.
Yeah.
They don't, but...
Like, I bought a flip trifold cover for the bed of my truck. I happened to find one somebody had listed for $200. Well, I get it, open it up, and I'm like, oh, God, this thing looks horrible. I took the aluminum cleaner, spread it on there, hit it with my Ryobi buffer, and it looks almost brand new.
Brand new?
Yeah. So and I'm horrible at cleaning things. I'm horrible. My next door neighbor, Captain Will Wolfson, will literally spend 2.5 hours on his boat after every charter. I pressure wash it. I flush the motor, and it goes in the garage. I pressure wash it at the car wash on the way home. That blow dries it the drive home. I flush the motor, it goes in the garage. About once a month, I pull the boat out and I detail it.
Gotcha.
I
will take, I don't know, a couple times in the season, and I'll go through 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
And get everything off the deck.
Yeah.
Because I'll get them on the deck no matter what. And I have been using the non-skid deck wax.
It's great.
It is great. You just have to be careful the first trip out after it. But what I'll do is I'll make sure I'll hit this up, and because I have to cover my entire boat, because it's a storage place. But I'll leave it out in the sun for a day or two after doing this, and that makes a huge difference. And then a lot of times I'll wash the deck again, just to get some of the residual off, and then it's not as bad. But like it'll last a good month because I, doing the stuff I do typically like ribbon fish and whatnot.
Get some blood.
I'll bloody that boat up good. I'll bloody it up really good. So
there's no bloody deck like a cobia deck.
Oh, yeah. God, I'm hoping. Start talking about that. I missed last year's very short run because I was working in Fort Lauderdale and the transmission went out on my truck. And I had to leave my truck down there. And so I didn't have a way to get my boat over to the port. And I had planned on going fishing that Saturday.
Oh.
And that happened, and I missed it.
I remember you telling me about it.
No, of all times. So I'm looking forward to because my wife still has not caught a cobia on the boat. I don't even think I've gotten a cobia on my boat.
No cobia for your wife. No redfish for your wife.
Caught a lot of snook.
Yeah.
And a lot of kingfish.
Yeah.
She gets the snapper in, but she's had trouble getting a big one in.
Just get her over one day, and we'll get her on some reds in the lagoon.
She can see. See, I can't see to do what you guys do over there.
Yeah.
But she can. She's had her on the airboat with Mark Whitmire and Troy Perez.
Oh, nice.
And she spotted an alligator before Troy did. I was like, all right, that's my wife. So, but
yeah, Troy's got him a new little fishing shack over at Pine Island or Bokeelia.
And I was talking to him about there's a tackle shop over there called Pine Island Bait and Tackle. And Jimmy and his wife are the owners, and they're one of my favorite accounts. They're really cool to work with. Big Iowa people, too, and I'm actually going to be fishing with them this coming week. So
nice.
I'm going to be fishing. Do we have to take that one? I don't know. We got 4 minutes. All right, I guess we'll take the call. We got Captain Jim Ross from the Deer Stand calling in.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning, Jimbo. So, are you talking very low because you're in the stand?
I'm in the stand. I had a good morning sit yesterday morning. I saw a lot of activity. I'm only hunting about a 10-yard wide cut that's about 150 yards long, but it's between a feeding area and a bedding area.
Oh. And
yesterday morning had two really nice does come in, but unfortunately they came in with a 10-point buck that the lease owner that invited me up here has been targeting. So that one was off the hit list. So I did have another 9-point come in. He was a little young, probably about 3 years old. And so I let him just kind of eat on the corn pile a little bit. He stood there posing for me. I could have taken about 19 shots in a row on that thing, the different poses he gave me. And today, a totally different kind of a scenario. Very little deer movement. I first got in here, I had a doe sprint across and start blowing. And I'm like, man, I hope she didn't smell me or something. Well, then about 30 minutes later, I see a coyote sprinting across the lane. So I'm like, okay, here's our problem. And unfortunately, both of them came through. I don't know if they had the nitrous turned up or if they were just in top gear, but both of them came through so fast I didn't stand a chance at them. Like I said, this thing's only about 10 yards wide that I'm hunting, but I'm hoping that I got about another probably 45 minutes or so that I'll sit. Hopefully, some of the ones that are over at the feeding area will head back to the bedding area a little later than normal, and I'll get a shot. But anyway, I am seeing some activity. I got a poacher squirrel out here. He's absolutely just wearing out the corn pile.
Now, are you bow hunting or are you rifle hunting?
No, I'm rifle hunting. These are all of these are ground blinds, and they're all on crop fields for the most part. But I've decided to hunt this little draw. I just really liked it. It's got a heavy trail. It's actually got two heavy trails going across it. I've just got to be sitting here at the right time and
put the time.
Hopefully, I'll get the shot.
Yeah, you're not quite in the rut yet.
No.
Yeah, I got about another week to 2 weeks before we go into the rut.
So
yeah, I was supposed to be in Georgia this past week. Things didn't work out, so I'm gonna try and slip up there for a couple days in the next week or two. But I'm waiting for it to cool off. It's just too warm.
Well, that's the other thing, guys, is it is 70, 71, 72 degrees. It's almost 100% humidity, and it looks like September. The leaves haven't changed. None of the undergrowth has kind of started to die off. It does not look like November at all. It looks like we're sitting here opening day in September. It's that green up here right now.
What I think is typically when we have it like this, then when the cold comes, it comes with a fury.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were going to get it right after the hurricane. It got really cool. And
it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then all of a sudden it got hot, and it never cooled off again.
It was 87 at my house yesterday was the high.
Yep. No, we had a brief thing of fall, and now we're back to still summer.
Yep, exactly. Well, that's Florida. Better than snow.
Well,
I'll still take it over.
My thermocell is keeping me bug free though, because they are thick right now.
I would imagine. Yeah, sure. So.
Well, guys, I'll let you go. Just figured I'd check in and say that there is some deer in South Carolina, and hopefully I'll be bringing one or two home.
There you go.
Sounds great, Jimbo. Be safe and get you a nice one.
Have fun, dude.
Take care, guys.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to take our next break. So
Perfect.
We'll be right back with some more Catch a Memory Outdoors after these messages from our fine sponsors. Mike Mann, myself, Rodney, Sahr, and nobody likes to pay for insurance, but unfortunately, we all have to have it. Let the professionals at Petrucci Insurance make sure that you're getting the best policy for your specific needs for those hard-earned dollars that you'll be spending on it. Petrucci Insurance can provide you with a rate review for your home, boat, and auto insurance needs. Make sure you're getting the best possible policy for the price. Call Petrucci Insurance at 321-632-1200. Again, that's 321-632-1200 today. Don't waste another day paying too much for insurance this year. Pick up the phone and call Petrucci Insurance. You know what? I actually called them, and I'll honestly, they were not able to find something that was enough of a difference to beat the homeowner's insurance I had. So they're straight up. I mean, they're gonna tell you if they can do it or not. And I just happened to had gotten locked in. I had another friend of mine a long time ago that got me a rate, and it's just a good rate, I guess. So
homeowners insurance, especially with these storms.
I know it's gonna get worse.
And auto insurance.
Yeah.
My God. Well, especially since I have a 22-year-old on my policy.
I have a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun here pretty soon.
Expect it to double.
I know. Yeah.
He's never had a ticket because the deal was, I told him, I said, you get one ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying your own insurance. That's it.
Yeah.
And I said, but you have to be on our policy because we live in the same home.
Yep.
Even though, and he drives our cars every now and then, but he's got a little Toyota Tacoma. He likes to drive it.
Yeah.
My son's been good. Never gotten a ticket. 22. Insurance still ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Now we've had a lot of window claims.
Claims? Really?
Well, in the last last 12 months, my son's gone through 2 windshields. My wife's gone through 2 windshields. Dang. I'm on my second windshield.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, Jeeps. My wife's got a Jeep and I've got a Jeep. They're flat windshields. Okay. So any rock that hits it, they break. I mean, there's chips in it. My son, I guess there's just, I don't know if it's from storms or construction. There's just a lot of debris that's getting thrown up on the.
Interesting.
I
don't know. Well, mine, unfortunately, after the accident with the boat, wasn't my fault, but still, it's still.
I do too.
The Gorilla Glass. What is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's. Yeah. Oh, it'll break though. Yeah, it'll break. I broke my factory one. Literally, my son breaks his. A week later, my wife says, I just broke my window. Car's a year and a half old. And she goes, a rock came up and broke it. And
I actually need to get my driver's side window tinted because it got broken into and they broke that window and I never got it re-tinted. I need to do that because it's a little warm sometimes when you're driving.
Yeah.
I'm like, could they have broken a different window?
Well, I mean, it could be worse. It could be one of those little side windows, which are really expensive to replace.
Yeah. just stunk because I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had to drive home, and it
with the
was
window.
cold. Yeah. So with no window.
Thank you,
way.
Charlotte. That's
I know. Yeah.
Did they get and they probably didn't even get anything great.
No, they did.
Did they? Oh.
Yep. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
After having one truck stolen, which when it was recovered was, by the way, about a mile from the studio. Was stolen in New Smyrna and recovered about a mile from here.
Jeez.
I've had one truck stolen, 2 break-ins, but never had them break in where they broke anything. Just it wasn't a break-in; they just opened the door. So now, I mean, I everything goes in the house, and I've got.
Yeah, I just happened to. I won't get into that one, but I've had three break-ins. One, they somehow got the door open. I heard there's something electronic they can do now.
Yeah.
And then 2, they broke windows.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 times. One time when they got in, they stole something. Second time there was nothing, and then the third time they got something. So it's like, yeah. But it stinks. But you just got to be careful out there, especially I mean, man, rods and reels. Like prices of them nowadays, you got to be careful.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. So, but
yeah, nothing's not. Hopefully, prices are going to come down soon. Though.
I hope we start to see some changes in that for all of our sakes.
Yeah,
definitely be good. But and we can spend a little more money on the fun stuff instead of all the necessities.
I mean, I'm paying a mortgage and groceries right now.
I know, right? Yeah, yep.
Which is why
good old Aldi, man. I'm an Aldi fan.
Love
Aldi.
Well, so I was diabetic. I've switched over to I do almost a carnivore diet.
Yeah,
they do their like $11.99 organic grass-fed ribeye steaks. $11.99 a pound.
They good?
They're good. You got to go through and pick the ones that have a little more fat on them because if you get the ones with less fat, they're a little. Yeah. You're getting into the end cap of the. But if you go through and kind of search out and say, okay, this one's got, it's a 2-pack for they're like 8-ounce steaks, which I like to eat I prefer like a 12, 14-ounce steak, but so I have, probably 4 of those a week, 5 of those a week. Nice. And 8 ounces, man, I'd do some eggs or something with it, or half an avocado.
Yeah, I'm basically that's been my kind of diet. Has been mostly high protein, low carb.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's nice. It's kept me off the meds. It's and I've lost weight with it.
Yep. Oh yeah, you'll lose weight doing it. So
and
eat more of the protein, and it keeps you full. And yep.
Feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I just Halloween just hit, so we did not have the entourage of kids that we thought we would have.
Oh, so you had leftovers.
Yeah. Well, luckily the baby Ruths are gone. The baby Ruths are gone, and now we got to get rid of the Reese's are almost gone. The Milk Duds are almost gone. So.
Well, the wife and I went down to Mexico for Dias de Muertos this year. So we left on Halloween.
For Caucasians, that's Day of the Dead.
Yeah. And we had a great time, and I basically wasn't eating any sweets, but I was like, we're on vacation at a resort. So I ate down there and got back, and first night I had, I forget what I had. And I'm like, oh, that's right, I have to give off the sweets again. And then next day my kids brought over their offering that they take from their candy and bring me, I walked in the door. I was like, all right, where is my offering for? So they brought in, of course, Reese's and whatnot, and Kit Kats for Amanda. And I'm like, can't eat any of them.
See, my downfall is, and actually Reese's are not that bad because it's a lot of peanut butter with a little bit of chocolate, but I like the minis. So I buy the bags right now Walmart has the mini bags on sale for it's like $4.50, and it's like Christmas colors now.
Yeah.
So I bought a bag of those. I throw them in the fridge because I like them cold.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll come by. I'm like, I'll grab 3 or 4 of them, and when it's nice and cold, and they don't shoot my blood sugar up bad because it's the minis has more peanut butter.
Yeah.
To chocolate ratio than the full size one. So it
says
yeah.
So
no, I'm gonna pick up some boiled peanuts when I get home for the game.
Yeah, you know
today.
what? I was thinking, and I was like, I hope I pass something with those. I was trying to think of which direction I go. I'd maybe go 520 all the way back. I might see some. So
yeah, there's a great guy on 44 that sells
I know.
them.
I've gotten them there many times.
Right across from what's that? Sorry, Charlie's.
Okay, I don't remember what's there, but I remember I've been on that one a couple times.
Yeah,
so.
he does good. He does Cajun, and then he does regular.
He's a vet too.
Yeah, he's a vet.
Yep.
And so what I'll do is I'll pull in there. It was the guy was super nice. I showed up the other day, and I had like $100 bill, which he didn't happen to have change for. And then I had like $1, and I'm like counting out change. I grabbed my change cup for $5.
Yeah.
And because I don't think he takes cards, and I don't want to pay for a $5 card. It's going to hit more charges. So he goes, man, don't worry about it. I'll see you next week. And I'm like, but I'm going to try something. I like Cajun and I like regular.
You mix them?
I'm going to do a half and half.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to do a half and half.
Yeah, I like if the Cajun's not over.
Yeah,
it's good. I like it. I don't like it too much. But it actually reminds me, just talking about that, I do want to big shout out to all the vets this weekend as we're celebrating Veterans Day on Monday. Appreciate as someone who was not able to serve. I appreciate all those who did serve. Including my grandfather was a vet. So appreciate all those out there, and please remember that, as it's not just a day off of school and whatnot, but it's definitely a lot that people gave a lot. So we appreciate that, and make sure. I always teach my kids to go up, or try to teach my kids to go up and thank a vet when they see him dressed in any type of uniform or hat. So, because that's a big thing. So it's a lot to give. So appreciate you guys out there for sure. So
yeah, it's appropriate that after Tuesday.
Yep.
Those are the guys. The reason we are allowed to do what we do on Tuesday. Keep voting.
Yep, that's right. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to go ahead and take our next break, and we're going to be right back with the next segment of Catch Memory Outdoors. Here every Saturday, 7 to 9. Also, check out the podcast. Definitely make sure you download those. Like us on Facebook. All the above, right? All the things the kids are doing these days.
Follow us on it all.
All of it. So,
say hi. Wave at us.
Something. So, you can also give us a shout here if you'd like as well. We'll be in the studio. We'll be taking some calls. And Captain Mike has got the catch conditions for us today.
Who are the catch conditions brought to us by?
We don't have a sponsor for the catch conditions right now.
Well, the catch conditions are brought to you by Mike Mann and Rodney Sahr. Today, east winds from 10 to 15 knots, becoming east at 20. Seas inside the 20-mile are supposed to be 3 to 5 feet with a dominant period of 9 seconds. Current conditions at the 4-mile weather buoy offshore Port Canaveral is 77.9 water temperature. Seas are 2 to 3 with a 7-second period. That's a little bumpy. Not too bad. Water temperature at the 20-mile weather buoy offshore from Port Canaveral is 77.7. Seas are 3 to 9 with a swell period of 5.6 seconds.
No,
I don't want to go there.
You.
Yep, I'm out today. I'll be watching football.
Yep.
The conditions at the 6-mile weather buoy offshore Fort Pierce. Water temperature 81 degrees. Seas are 3.3 feet with a period of 9 seconds. More doable.
Yep, a little bit bound
on it. Tides out of Port Canaveral. High tide is at 12:40 a.m. Low tide is 7 a.m. High tide. The next high tide would be at 1:19 p.m. and the next low would be at 7:43 p.m. Out of Sebastian, the next high tide, or the last high tide was 1:01 a.m. The next low we've already passed was at 7:11. So your next high tide will be 1:43 p.m. and low will be at 8:05 p.m. And I would figure that's probably going to be about an hour and a half, 2 hours off is what I've been finding.
I think the tide coming out of Sebastian used to be around 2 hours and 15 minutes, with it really starting to move at like 2.5 hours typically.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but that's what I was finding.
So why can't they get the actual tide change times?
I think it is the tide change. I just think
the water takes that much longer to catch it.
and then I'm sure you've noticed it. I noticed the wind makes a drastic difference too.
Yeah.
I used to notice that up at Ponce all the time. Like we had a heavy north wind. The outgoing tide fishing Smyrna was way later.
Yeah.
Like,
way
wait
later.
a minute. I'm like, why is this taking so long?
Yeah.
It's because of the wind.
Well, and what I find is, so if you've got a west wind, incoming tide is less.
Yeah.
Because it holds it back.
Yep.
Outgoing tide is much stronger. And, the lagoon had started dropping down, getting towards normal water levels. Well, then we've had the southeast wind, which actually in New Smyrna tends to push water into the inlet.
Okay.
Because the north causeway or the north jetty sticks out further than the south jetty.
Yep.
So you get a southeast wind that tends to push that water right up to it and forces it into the lagoon or
sense.
into the river,
Yeah.
the river, and then forces it down. But you get northwest, and it pushes it away and out.
Yeah.
And probably our biggest falling water is northwest.
Gotcha. Interesting. And it's crazy how drastically that changes fishing conditions. I know fishing Canaveral. I don't fish Ponce enough, but I know fishing Sebastian, you determined when you are going by the tide.
Yeah.
The port, being a lock driven, you don't really, there's definitely a little bit of tide, obviously with water level, not really current. But what's really funny, because actually it was a couple times ago we were fishing, and cruise ships coming in and out will drastically affect
The tide.
a tide. I wouldn't say the tide, but a tide.
Yeah.
A cruise ship comes in the water displacement, it's an outgoing tide. It goes out, it's an incoming tide.
Yeah.
And those fish will fire off when
yeah.
that happens. And I mean, it is drastic when it comes in and out. You have to, in fact, the other night where I was fishing, I was like, I saw the cruise boat, I think it was going out. I'm like, all right, hold on, we got to move. Because I'm like, the boat's going to get a little too close for me for comfort.
Yeah.
With the way, we're going to change directions on this boat real fast.
Yeah.
While on spot lock. So I moved myself out about 10 feet, waited, and then moved back in.
Yeah.
So, but
and then the bike turned on.
It'll turn on during it sometimes. Yeah. I found that on the North Jetty. I remember the one day it went off and we hooked a couple of redfish right when it, basically caused an incoming tide, and all of a sudden the fish fired off right on the inside of the jetty. So,
yeah.
I mean, there was bait everywhere. It flushed the mullet. The mullet just probably were like, "What the heck's going on?" We're all over the place, so the fish took advantage of it.
I will say, because the tides have been very drastic these last couple of weeks, last month or two. I mean, not that it's dropping out a whole lot or that it's coming up a whole lot, but it's moving a lot. There's a lot of water moving. The actual depth in the lagoon hasn't been, super drastic, but it's never super drastic the further you get into the lagoon because it spreads out. Yeah. And so, I always get guys jump on the boat. What's the tide doing? I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
And I have an app, I can pull it up and look there. Now, once I get like north of JB's, I care about what the tide's doing. The further south I go, the less I care about what the tide's doing. There's a few areas, if I'm fishing the ICW or if I'm fishing the clinkers, I like to know what the tide's doing. Because you will have more tide flow over on the clinkers, the spoil islands. But you go to the east shore and there's no tide. It's so minute that, but you get a good wind-driven current, and fish will stack up on points, and you fish that leeward side, and or bring it from the wind-driven side around to the leeward side. And
how does it affect Holliver?
Oh, it rips.
Yeah,
the tide,
No, I remember shrimping in there, and that tide would rip in it out.
Yeah, tide gets really ripping, but it can rip in there even because of the wind direction you've got. Even though it's fairly protected, because it either draws water or pushes water.
Yep. It's interesting. Well, actually, this segment of the show, and we've kind of already been talking about it, is brought to you by Starbright. Even though we had our own little discussion about it. Top pick on a Starbright product? They have mine.
I'm going to go with the hull cleaner because that's what I use the most in the lagoon, and I've got a cream-colored boat. It's just...
Yep. I get
it. And the hull wax. I mean...
Hull wax.
Yeah, the hull wax, when I get a chance, I can get the boat clean enough and it stays out of the water long enough for me to apply it. It keeps me from having to use the hull cleaner
all the time.
Less.
Yep.
I mean, my boat basically goes from cream-colored to dark tea-colored. And then I just go around, spray it. hit it with the brush for a second. And I'm not using the brush because I have to scrub it to get the stuff off. I'm
Spread
using the brush to spread it.
Yep.
So I use less product.
Yeah.
And man, boat's
That's it.
shiny.
My favorite is the orange wash and wax.
I don't
That
think
is
I
my
have any
favorite.
of that.
I love that stuff.
Ooh.
Smells good.
Yeah.
And does it's when you put your hand in it, it's almost like an oily feel.
Ooh, see, I
And
don't
then you
have
put it
that.
on, and it's great. It keeps the boat nice.
I gotta
Kinda
talk
keeps
to
wax on
Jimmy.
there. Yeah, that's my favorite. They also make the pine one, which I do like. It's not a wash and wax.
Yeah.
But that I will use in my fish box.
Yeah.
And I'll scrub it in there. And a lot of times I don't rinse it. I'll just leave it in there. But yeah, those are my.
I love
my
the
two
salt
favorite
off
ones.
too.
Salt off does.
And I,
Crazy
because
how
I
good it
flush my
works.
motors
I flush
about
it.
every
Yep.
2 weeks. I flush the motor. I just hook it right up
Yep.
to the flush port and
I
run a whole thing of it through. And
I will flush my motor every time with the salt, and a lot of times I hit my trailer with it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stuff works good. So, well, there you go. There's
There-
our top ones from Starbright.
Starbright, we love the company.
Yeah, we do. Can't you tell?
Well, that's the nice thing. I'm like, okay, Jimmy's with Baheo now. All right, perfect. So he's got Starbright, which I love.
Yep.
Baheo now, which I'm pro staff with.
Yep.
I gotta get him on Z-Man now.
He's been with Assassin.
I know he's
for a
been with him
long
so
time.
long,
Yeah.
and it's like. Yeah, I'll never pull that away. I can see him cringe when I say I've been using Z-Man. He's not on the air with us today, so I can say it.
You can mess with them a little bit. Well, I mean, look, they're all different in certain ways, and they all make good product. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
When you're working in the industry selling the stuff, it's like there's so many different ones. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I will say, have you used the Prawn Star shrimps yet?
No,
Oh man, that's the most realistic shrimp I've seen by far.
really.
Yeah, the prawn. They should have started shipping to people because I've seen them in a few of accounts.
Yeah,
You should get some of those, man. They're really cool looking bait.
yeah. I'll have to give that a shot.
Really cool looking.
The
bait, so.
I will say that's, we were talking about this earlier. You get confidence in something.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then I get confidence. I'm either pro staff with them, and I
Yep.
call them, say, listen, send me 50 of these.
Yeah.
Or I go to a tackle shop. I
Yeah.
I use New Smyrna Outfitters a lot,
Yep.
and because they're local and a small. And,
Hey, Cody's good dude.
Yeah, Cody's great people. Cody and his dad Ty, and I'll go in there. And I'll be like, okay, can you order me?
Yeah.
Some of these. Look, just order them for me, and they'll usually take care of me if I order.
Yeah.
A bunch of them because they can put it on a shipment. It can
Yeah.
bump up their order, which gives them credit with the
Yep.
company, and they know it's sold. But
Yep.
there's so many products, and I didn't make it to ICAST this year, but ICAST is almost a little overwhelming.
There's a lot. I remember back in the day, it was like one or two new things at ICAST.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is great. Now it's like, holy cow, there's so many new technologies. I feel like the rod and reel companies, it's every year they have a lot of new product.
Yeah.
Electronics, holy cow.
Yeah.
Fish finders and all that. Always. I mean, trolling motor, everything. There's like so much newness every year where like you buy something in the following year, it's almost like it can be obsolete at times. It's
What's
like,
your
holy
What's your
cow.
favorite? What's your go-to electronics?
I'm, right now I'm using Garmin. I've used Garmin for a long time. I love their GPS system.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Fish finders, not where I like to be
Yeah.
on it. I like some of the other products better. I'd like to learn a little bit better how to use the side imaging.
Yeah.
I know how to use it, but I'm not expert on it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I'd like to play around with the live scope.
Yeah.
I'd really like to play around a little bit with that.
Jimmy's Hummingbird, right?
No, he's Lowrance.
Is he Lowrance?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Ray Marine, so we got the three
Okay,
spectrums
yeah.
right here. I'm switching.
Are you switching to Hummingbird?
Yeah.
Okay. Because of the live scope?
The live scope, but also the side scan. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah.
I've got guys that are good fishermen.
Yeah.
They're becoming better fishermen than me because of their electronics.
You don't have sides?
I know
side-
I've got
yeah,
side
yeah.
scan, but it's I'm not as impressed with what I've got right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And just the whole ordering. I mean, and nothing against them. It's a great company.
Yeah.
They've been bought and sold, and they've changed things
Yeah.
up a little bit. Hummingbird, talk to me. They just call. Call, tell me what you want, and I'll ship it out the next day. And that makes a huge difference to me because I'm getting ready to redo. I'm getting ready to switch out, and I've got new electronics already on both boats that are less than a year old.
See, my unit's about 4 years old.
Yeah,
and I want to switch because if I switch to a touchscreen, because I don't have a touchscreen, I can get a bigger screen. I would really like to put a through hull and a transom for the side imaging. I'd really like to do that in this boat. I got knocked back. The listeners don't know the day I bought my boat, I got hit.
Yeah.
So with no insurance yet on the boat. So I took a little bit of a hit and got the boat back up. But that was my plan, was to replace electronics after getting the boat. So that took a back seat for a little while. But I'm kind of back and forth because, like I said, I love Garmin's GPS systems, even though the refresh rate on mine is pretty slow. I probably need to put another antenna on it for that specifically. But I really like the Simrad stuff. I can't really speak the Humminbird because I've never used it personally, but I like the Simrad and stuff. I like their stuff for that specifically because I'm finding myself doing a lot more snook fishing near shore, less. I mean, I still kingfish. That's my thing. And I don't use side imaging for kingfishing, even though I think there's a couple places where it would be beneficial. But definitely snook fishing, it is hands down one of the best options.
Yeah. And I want to play with the side, the live scope. Yeah. But like Ed Zyak, you know, Ed?
I know of him.
I was talking with Ed Zyak a couple weeks back, and he's big with him. He goes, you'll never be upset with it.
Gotcha.
And I will tell you, though, do not go to just a touchscreen. You'll hate it.
Gotcha.
Because if you've got wet hands, get the hybrids. If you've got wet hands.
Well, a friend of mine got it, and I was hesitant, and I actually really liked it, but his wasn't for it. But I'll tell you, we're up against another break.
Yes,
but
sir.
we're going to come right back with our last segment, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. So we'll be right back with more Catch Memory Outdoors. Mike, it's the last segment already.
I know. My God, what's happening with the morning?
It's flying by like crazy. So
be home just in time for football. Get home, get a shower, get some brekkie, and
there you go.
A little breakfast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home and check on the smoker and get ready and noon kickoff.
What you smoking?
A couple of pork butts. I got 5 on the smoker for a men's thing at the church that I'm doing some for. So yeah,
very nice.
Yep. So they've been. I think I put them on at 9:30 last night. So wife called me.
You'll be at the 12 hour. You already wrapped them and.
I wrapped them before I left this morning. So got the butcher paper
you
out
did a
and
long smoke without wrapping. See,
I did.
I usually do about 6 hours and then wrap them and then do the remainder. And then I like to, when I pull them off, I like to put them in my Engel cooler.
Oh yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Put them in my Engel cooler with a little towel in there.
Exactly.
Set them in there and then shut it and let them. You can literally set it in there for 4 hours.
You can, and they're hot. You can't even hold them when you take them out.
Yeah, 4 hours later, you still can't shred it by hand. Mm-hmm. It's that hot, and it's that much more tender too.
Yeah, the longer you wait, the better. I tell you what is really cool. I got this attachment for my drill.
Yeah.
Oh man, pulling pork.
Oh, I've seen those.
Takes like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like a little fork that kind of is it the one that's
there's a couple
like
different
a three-pronged.
ones. Yeah.
It's like a 3-pronged fork or 4-pronged. And
you literally
twisted.
put it in. I keep a bucket specifically for that I keep clean and bleach. And you take it out there, and when it's right, you take the bone and go, and it falls off the bone, and then you go, and it's completely shredded.
Yeah,
completely done. It's 9 days, and there's a bunch of different ones available on Amazon. They're like
you can actually
$8.
just almost get like a mix. You can buy one at Home Depot that's not for that,
and it would do it.
But it works well.
It's a piece of cake.
I want to say hello to my lovely, beautiful wife Daniela Mann, who is listening to us. She's like, I just got it. I got the. She got it with 8 minutes left or 7 minutes left now.
Well,
but
I saw your beautiful sign that your husband graciously used the hall cleaner, the Starbright hall cleaner, to write on your fence. So I saw the picture of that. That was good. That was good.
She's a good woman.
There you go.
Yeah, she deserves it. So, but yeah, no, I'm waiting for it to cool down a little bit, and I'm gonna smoke something. I don't know. I want to venture into brisket smoking.
I'm scared. I'm cheap.
I'm
cheap. That's the problem. I'm cheap. They're expensive.
They're expensive.
Paul's saying his wife's the brisket girl. See?
Yeah. But I'm scared because I don't want to mess up an expensive cut of meat.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I tell you what, we do a pork loin on the smoker probably once a week.
Yeah.
For the kids and stuff. And then I also do quite a bit. I'll do pork chops, and I do chicken and all that, or wings. And then obviously pork butts take a lot longer.
Yeah. You're on a pellet smoker?
Yeah. I got a Camp Chef.
Okay, nice.
I'm going to have to replace it pretty soon because I think I've had it 5 years now.
I had a Z grill, which I liked. And was it? I think it was Memorial Day or 4th of July. I go to put my butt on there, and it was dead. It wouldn't come on, and I'm like, I don't have time to order a part and fix it. So we ended up at Academy Sports, and they had their what is it? The
whatever their brand
Camp
is.
Chef, or I think it's
they
Camp,
do sell. Camp Chef,
it's a Camp Chef that I ended up getting a really good price on, and so far I've been pretty happy with it.
I've loved mine won't hook up to the Wi-Fi anymore like it used to.
Yeah.
And I got to give it a little bit of tap sometimes to get to come on.
Yeah.
But I haven't had it's caught fire on me a couple times. That's not my own fault for not cleaning it completely.
Yeah.
So I don't clean mine every time. I talked to a buddy of mine. He's like, "Oh, I take the whole thing apart and clean it every time." I'm like, I don't have that kind of time.
No.
Like, how do you do that, man?
So I've got the Camp Chef.
Yep.
I want I might try the Traeger.
Yeah, I might. Yeah.
But so I've got that. Then I've got a gas grill next to it. Then I've got a green egg.
See, I don't have a green egg, and I bought a Blackstone. I don't care for it.
Really?
I'm probably going to get rid of it.
I almost pulled the trigger on one because they were on sale where I could have gotten like the 36-inch for like $150 or something.
I'm done with the Blackstone. I have my big cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
I'd rather use it. I think it works better personally.
Yeah.
But I need to get a new gas grill because I ended up throwing my old one away, and I just haven't gone and gotten one.
Yeah. And I like the gas grill because like if I'm gonna do something really quick, I can just fire it up.
Charcoal's so good, but it's so long.
But what I will say about my Camp Chef with the pellet, as long as I don't let the pellet sit in there, and get soggy, they get it's Florida.
Yeah. Yep.
So if I'll try and run it almost out, whatever I'm cooking.
Yeah.
But if I put fresh pellets in there and I want to do a steak, man,
that's good.
I run it up, and it comes up to temperature. I mean, it's up to 500 degrees pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's really good at searing.
Mm-hmm. So
it's but I don't know. It's my wife was. I almost bought a Blackstone. Was pellet.
I'm just not a fan. I mean, I know guys that love them. That's great. But like I said, I'd rather use my cast iron on a flame. I mean, I've got the turkey fryer, all that stuff too. But and that's what another thing I love to do. I love to do shrimp boils and stuff too.
What's the big disc that sits on the?
I've seen one of those.
I've got
one. Cool. You got one of those? That looks cool.
I can't think of what it's called right now. It's fire disc.
Fire disc. Yeah,
I've got a fire disc. It's fun to cook on.
Yeah. Then
you run out of stuff to cook on. It's a pain, and that thing weighs.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Pain to clean.
It is heavy. Gotcha. So it's kind of a pain to clean. It's like a cast iron skillet. You have to get it seasoned.
Oh, yeah.
My wife just sent me fire disc. It's, I don't know. I would like it a little bit more if it didn't have quite as high as sides.
Yep.
I mean, outdoor cooking. We're guys. We love it.
Hey, couple real quick announcements, guys, too. I'm going to let you know one thing in particular coming up on Saturday, the 23rd from 10 to 2. There's going to be a flea market sale over at Mud Hole Custom Tackle, and that's going to be hosted by Central Florida saltwater fishing. It's not CFOA anymore. It's CFSA.
Oh, nice.
They wanted to include you inshore guys.
Very nice.
So the CFSA, it's going to take some time getting used to that. We'll be hosting that, so make sure you check out that. You can get on their website, mycfoa.com. I don't know if they've changed the website or not yet. You can also check them out on Facebook for that, too.
Great group. I've done done the thing with them a lot of times.
Former president of it. They do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So, yep.
If you want to do a fishing charter,
Mm-hmm.
I've got days open.
Oh.
I've got days
right.
open. You can give me
yeah.
a call at area code 386-295-5991. You can go right to my website, fatfishguide.com. Follow me on Instagram, CAPT, Mike Mann with 2 N's, and on Facebook, Fat Fish Guide Service. Give me a call, guys. I
there
got
you
some
go.
days open.
For sure. It sounds like things are cooking up and getting good. So,
Yeah, it's a fun time to fish.
Right, for sure. So, well, we appreciate you all listening in and checking us out here. Like I said, every Saturday you can find Jim here every Saturday, just about, except for this Saturday. Every Saturday, like I said, 7 to 9 o'clock. Listen in. We appreciate all of our sponsors and everything. Do that. So do what we're going to do is go out there and catch yourselves a memory.